Well, old south of the video store is a show called Off Our Stones. We got Andrew and me and a friend Cody. We're gonna rank some funkin' songs. Rank them songs. Songs gonna and rank songs. The longest list in the whole damn town. Longer than old King Kong. Me and the band of Junkyard Dog. It's just so good to see the actual like live button this time.
Yeah, I see it. I like the Rust version last time. That's great.
I get privileges now.
There you go.
Yeah, as opposed to that cage that we keep you in the basement. Hey guys, welcome back to Off Our Stones, episode number 7. Brooklyn Vale and I are back with the People's Champion, Cody Newberry. Once again, if you don't know, Brooklyn and I both made our own 500 lists. We combined all the ones that we both had, and now all of the ones that we individually had to fill in the rest of the spots. Cody chooses which one of the two songs is the higher rank, if not staying on the list with some of his vetoes. Chuckles and music galore.
But Andrew, don't forget about the big bet that's up for grabs. Tell the people what we're playing for.
You tell them because I'm scared.
Well, so basically, what happens is like Andrew will present his song, I'll present my song, and then Cody will pick where they rank. Whoever gets the most higher ranks throughout the series, the loser has to watch a movie as per community standards, as well as receive a playlist of 20 songs that this person can only listen to for a week. It's been referenced that I could possibly go bare naked ladies, but I just think that's a little too nice for a punishment like this. So you get ready. You get ready for some like really bad. You're gonna listen to like McMaster and James, like 2000s Canadian pop.
That doesn't sound.
It's not. No, bad. Imagine. 2000s Canadian pop that tries to be Latin. Let's say that.
We had that in the early 2000s as well with Ricky Martin and J Lo.
Like anytime I mention McMaster and James at trivia, the host always gives a chuckle. Like you're the only fucking person that remembers that group.
All right, let's just start with the first one. Cody seemed a lot more happy about the list last week than he is this week. Cody, any thoughts before we start?
I was looking over it again. I think it's gonna be a good week. There's some. I'm just gonna leave it alone because it will come up, and I will just say my piece when it happens.
All right. Well, let's start off with a barn burner of a first pairing. So numbers 380 and 379. Listen to the music by the Doobie Brothers versus the Humpty Dance by Digital Underground. Brooklyn, you are going to be starting us off this time.
So I have to thank, Kirk Kolakowski for showing me the Humpty Dance.
How to do it?
Just the song. This is the song in general. I think he brought up a 90s One Hit Wonders, and I'm like, I had heard this before, but I didn't really get the chance to fall in love with it. And oh boy, is this ever a fucking unreal song. I remember we did walkout songs, I believe, for YLS. This would now be my new number one. I just think this is one of the greatest opening verses ever. All right, stop what you're doing, because I'm but to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. I look funny, but I'm making money, see, so world, I hope you're ready for me, because gather round, I'm the new fool in town. Like, it's just like, it hits like the parody kind of aspects of it. And it's also like just like love yourself and love who you are. I love the rhymes in this. Like, I keep it spunky. I like my oatmeal lumpy, and it's like plain and weird to a sense, but also like just out there in terms of like what it's trying to do. And also an incredibly catchy beat behind it.
Listen to the Music by the Doobie Brothers is one of the most inviting songs ever made. Just that opening jangly guitar immediately sets a tone for. It sounds like a song that for the community. Um, excuse me. And the harmonies on this are unbelievable. That chorus just it's soaring. It is a soaring piece. That it's so simple, but it's so effective in its simplicity. And then towards the end, you have that like guitar slowly starting to build a solo towards the end. Just an incredible piece. Arguably the Doobie Brothers' best song. Um, Whereas with the Humpty Dance, it's fun. It's like really enjoyable for like the first 3 minutes, and then we get to like the 5 minute mark, and I'm just kind of like, okay, we're still going with this. All right, cool. Um, and the rhyme scheme is just kind of like so basic that it's a little pedantic.
I think the rhyme scheme is pretty standard for like rap songs at that time. I think the word choice that he uses is what separates him from everybody else, because nobody's fucking making oatmeal sound fucking gangsta or like
You think that he's making it sound gangsta? Gangsta is the last thing that this is making it sound.
Gangsta is not maybe not the best word, but like to be able to use it and not have somebody respond to it like, why the fuck are you doing this? Like it fits with his brand. It's more fitting. Sorry, more fitting as opposed to being more gangsta. Whereas with the Doobie Brothers listening to the music, this is not the best song because I'm going to go a little Peter Griffin on this. Andrew, we referenced two artists when we were revealing this list to each other. Randy Newman, and who was the other person?
Michael McDonald.
And Michael McDonald. Would you not agree that Michael McDonald is one of the greatest vocalists of our time?
No, I would not agree. The man sounds like he's recording every one of his songs while I'm submerged in a tank of water.
Well, that's not what you told me whenever we did this. Because
that is not what I said at all.
You can deny it all you want. But imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah, you are the one impersonating Michael McDonald. I was doing Randy Newman.
We stand Michael McDonald, and the fact that neither one of us have "What a Fool Believes," the best Doobie Brothers song.
What a bullshit!
There is a lack of Michael McDonald in this. Like honestly, this sounds like something that like Crosby, Stills, and Nash would have done, and like we covered them last week, and they do a better job of this style. If I'm getting serious with my argument now.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Oh my God, no! They don't add like the country bluegrass elements that the Doobie Brothers do so effectively well when they don't have Michael McDonald. You picked What a Fool Believes. You could have picked Long Train Running or China Grove or Blackwater. And like, oh my God,
Old Blackwater. Yeah, sorry. I will stand corrected. Old Blackwater is the best Doobie Brothers song. But again, I have a fever, and the only prescription is for more Michael McDonald.
Oh my God, Cody, just fucking jump in, please.
I want to read something real quick, okay? If you'll indulge me. Hey, yo, fat girl, come here. Are you ticklish? Yeah, I called you fat. Look at me, I'm skinny. I've never stopped me from getting busy. I'm a freak, like a girl with a boom. I got busy in a Burger King bathroom. What the fuck is this? This is. I almost voted against Listen to the Music because in Missouri, this was the advertisement for Branson, Missouri, which is like the Disney World for rednecks. And at 4 a.m., if you left your TV on, you'd wake up to, oh, wow, listen to the music. Come to Branson. What the fuck is this? So I almost voted against it because it gave me PTSD. but holy shit, yo, fat girl. Yeah, I called you fat. Like,
Come here, you ticklish.
What? It was wild.
I would like to preface the fact that, well, as I've said multiple times on the show, even though I am arguing against something, it does not mean that I don't love the song. The Humpty Dance fucking slaps. I love the Humpty Dance. All right. Let's moving on. 378, 377. This is another fucking wild one. When Doves Cry by Prince versus Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. Okay. When Doves Cry. This is like some of the best, like, I don't want to call it soft rock because that's not what it is, but it's kind of got that atmosphere to it, where it's got like the compressed drums and like the spacious kind of like bass and stuff like that. And then Prince is just sounding utterly fantastic on this song. It's got some of the most memorable lyrics that Prince has ever written. Why do we scream at each other? It's just like this entire breaking relationship being placed in front of you, and him kind of psychoanalyzing himself kind of creates this like really interesting dynamic for the song's lyrics. And then it just kind of like builds and increases to like this crescendo where he uses this amazing falsetto. Yeah, it's just a hell of a song.
So yeah, as a child that was born in 1993, I was like 6 when Baby One More Time came out. And all this song needs is 3 notes. It needs 3 notes, and you're already in the atmosphere that song is creating. I think the guitar work in this is great. It's just the right amount of wah pedal being used, and then just how she's able to kind of ride the groove of the song in the verse. And then you have just one of the greatest choruses, like "My loneliness is killing me." And then just that responsive "and I," like that's the part where everybody comes in and they get to have this real sense of emotion in the song. And then you just have like, it's such a dynamic ending to the chorus as well. Like hit me baby one more time, and then you cut right back into that riff, and it just resets and goes back. Whereas with When Doves Cry, my biggest gripe with it is that I feel that it leans too heavy on the piano on the keys riff. Whereas like this, you're talking about like this kind of like breakdown of a relationship and whatnot. I think this is too like on the nose for Prince's discography, given that like we have like his biggest song, Purple Rain, is like his very like this Purple Rain is this very like metaphoric and kind of like not as opaque of a song, I guess as you would say. And I just feel like it's more so the instrumentation, not so much Prince, that really gets to shine.
I don't understand where you're coming up with this Prince doesn't have a chance to shine kind of thing, because it's his delivery of these lyrics that creates the overall aesthetic of the song. Like if he wasn't delivering these lines as effectively as he is, it could come off as incredibly more pretentious. Whereas with Baby One More Time, man, Max Martin sure does take this song over, don't he? It is a Max Martin song. It like,
but if you know anything about Max Martin, he wants to be the shadow. So like while he's making an incredible beat, he's just like, here, this is for Britney Spears.
No, it was for TLC. It was written for TLC. Yeah. So let's not go with if this is for Britney Spears. No, it wasn't. It was for TLC. Max Martin's production kind of like overtakes the entire thing. Don't get me wrong, it's catchy, but like most of the things that I remember are like the flourishes that Max Martin as the producer adds to this song. Also, I'd like to state out, Oops, I Did It Again is a better song than Baby One More Time. Instantly more memorable to me, in my opinion, as well. I just want to throw that one out there.
So the argument I guess I would give to that, in that Max Martin is kind of the heavy lifter of the song, and that Brady isn't offering anything. I would get into the last section of this song, especially when you get to the "I must confess that my loneliness is killing me now," and especially when you get into the chorus itself. You have this great sort of call and response, similar to how we were talking a couple weeks ago in Dua Lipa with Pretty Please, where they're having the chorus, and then you have Britney giving these like really nice responses throughout it. And I just think yes, she does work with Max Martin, and sure, it may not have been her song, but she was able to make it her own. And that this, like when you think of bubblegum pop, this is the song that you go back to.
All right. Well, let's go to Cody and get his viewpoints on this one.
Listen, I was born in 91. If people have not seen the music video to Baby One More Time, it's a very influential music video for a young boy. I'll leave that alone where it is.
We're talking about puberty.
Girls did not wear these uniforms in my school. I promise you that. Anyways, this song gives kind of like, I come from the time of NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, where this was the music. Like, this was on TRL every week. It was just not what was number one on TRL. It was which one is it going to be from TRL. But with that being said, I have to go with Doves Cry.
Yeah, baby!
I think it's overall a better song. But it is catchy as shit. Like, at the end of the day, it's catchy. And me and my wife would probably still drive down the road rocking to the song at the end of the day. That's because she hates good music.
All right.
But yeah, if you're young, don't go watch the Hit Me Baby One More Time. Like,
no, watch Toxic.
Oh, God, no. God, no. Oh. You'll find out what puberty is real fast. Don't do that.
All right, moving on. Numbers 376 and 375. Don't Sweat the Technique by Eric B. and Rakim versus I Heard It Through the Grapevine, the Creedence Clearwater Revival version. Brooklyn is starting us off here.
Yeah, so if you know me and this series, I am a sucker for jam songs and people just kind of sitting around in a circle riffing off of one side kind of series and seeing how they go with that. And that's basically what this is. This is just a earworm of a riff, given especially how it plays. Like, it's super easy to play on the guitar, and then it's, I think, just John Fogerty whenever he comes in, like with the "Ooh, I Bet You Wonder How I Knew." And then like even like in between the song, they take the time where they just sit on the verse, and then they let everybody do they let the guitar do a solo. But I think the great thing about it, and where the musicianship in this really comes in, is like whenever the guitar stops, the band stops, and it makes those pauses much more effective whenever they come in. And then especially like after it's like 2 minutes of a solo, you just hear John come right back in with the ooh, like, ooh, I heard it through the grapevine. And I just think there's a nice, like, this feels more of an anthem than the original version does. And the original version is incredible. I just like this one more because it is a jam.
Okay, with Don't Sweat the Technique, Eric B. and Rakim, first of all, once again, incredible group. The duo is fantastic, one of the most highly influential groups in hip-hop. Rakim's lyrics in this, Jesus Christ. Let's trace the hints and check the file. Let's see who bit to detect the style. I flipped the script so they can't get foul, but at least not now. It'll take a while. Like, Jesus Christ, this guy was a writer. That sample, oh my God, that bass that bass just setting up the entire anchor of the beat, just fucking smooth as hell. This is all this. So Don't Sweat the Technique is all about. It's essentially it's the same thing as saying, don't fucking jack my style. Don't jack my flow. If you think that you can do this, I'm gonna kick your ass in rhyme and rhythm and beat your ass into the ground with it. It is a badass song with some of the greatest like bass and horns in a hip hop song ever. Now, let's talk about "I Heard It Through the Grapevine" by Creedence Clearwater Revival. First of all,
should I have glasses that I can also take off?
Cody, I know what you're thinking. The answer is yes. And I want you to do me a favor, Cody. I want you to look up the track listing for the album Cosmos Factory. The album that this song is on. And you tell me, is this even in the upper echelon of songs from that particular album? Because the answer is goddamn no. Cosmos Factory is an amazing album. And then it hits this part and it comes to a grinding fucking halt. It is 10 and a half minutes, which already is pushing the boundary. It's not an automatic kill, but it's pushing the boundary. And it is so static after a while. At one point, I was like, how much longer do we have to go in this song? And I was at the 6-minute mark. Also, I'm almost done. The beginning, it starts off pretty good, like the first 15 seconds where the bass and like all the instrumentation. And then John Fogerty comes in with his forced Southern accent. I love Creedence Clearwater Revival. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. But the forced Southern inflection that California boy John Fogerty is throwing onto this song. I'm sorry, not the words that he's using, the words that he's using. It is so jarring, and it immediately takes you out of it.
So this forced Southern accent that you're talking about, if it applies to this song on Cosmos Factory, it applies to the entirety of the album.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. Every one of us. No, you let me talk here. Every song that he does has that forced Southern accent. So if we're looking at this record as well, looking out my back door, run through the jungle, up around the bend, long as I can see the light. Who will stop the rain?
You're naming a whole bunch of songs that are better than this one on that album.
They are, that also have that Southern accent. Who will stop the rain is just fine. Run through the jungle is one note. Before You Accuse Me is done better by Eric Clapton. Whereas with Don't Sweat the Technique, this is one of Eric. It's riding too hard on the sample. There is a level of like swagger that you get from Eric B. and Rakim and the rest of their discography that you just don't get from this. I think the rhyming style in this is pretty straightforward. Like Jim Croce does it in his songs. In particular, I think Bad Bad Leroy Brown has the exact same rhyme style. But there's just like this is pretty generic in terms of what it's trying to do rapping wise.
Once again, I love Jim Croce. Jim Croce is not doing a multisyllabic rhyme style in Bad Bad Leroy Brown, where he's rhyming words in the middle of the sentence, and at the end of the sentence throughout the entire thing, and it shifts around. Bullshit. I once again love Jim Croce. No disrespect to Mr. Croce, Upper Darby legend Jim Croce, but he is not doing the same kind of like rhyme scheme that Rakim is doing in this song. And you don't think that he's got fucking swagger on this song, writing that goddamn beat? Kiss my ass. Let's go to Cody.
I just wish that you two would like shut the fuck up at some points. Because like sometimes like you guys talk and like you have like cement shoes on and you're like, I'm going off the fucking dive. Well, that's not a good story. I'm fucking doing it, and just keep talking and keep diving, and you're at the bottom of the fucking ocean. No one can pull you up. I don't give a fuck how fake of a twang he has in this song. First of all, uphill battle for my friend Mr. Barr. Because like one of the first times that me and Brooklyn ever like talked or bonded, like CCR was like very well talked to point by us. You say 11 minutes is too long. I say give me 20. I would stay in this lane forever with them. The more I look back at my life, and I've claimed a lot of bands as my favorite. Honestly, if I had to gun to my head, I had to pick one band to listen to, and that's all I get. I'm probably picking Clearance at this point. Like the Clearwater Revival, that music, all of it just hits so hard for me every time I listen to it, and the facts that they have hit after hit after hit after hit after hit, it's just stupid at this point. That being said, Don't Sweat the Technique is so fucking good. It's just going against a juggernaut. It's a 1 versus 16, but if that 16 got a different seed somewhere, they could have won a lot more games. How dare you? And by the way, I went to the album. I went to the album. I agree with you. Some of those are better. Okay. But honestly, I'm taking this over Marvin Gaye. Any day of the week.
Oh, all right. I don't feel as lonely on that boat anymore.
If I had to pick one song, I love Marvin Gaye's version. If I had to pick one, for the rest, I'm going to take Creedence.
I will die on that island.
Well,
and I will not.
You're by yourself, buddy.
I may be by myself on that island, but I will not feel alone.
He's running up that hill and making a deal with God.
Not even.
By the way, I'm just real quick. I got to message you guys because I got to know if a song from this band is on your list, and if it's not, I have to update the list.
Send me a message. I'll let you know. And so Brooklyn can start the next one, so I can double check. But the next matchup is "I've Been Loving You Too Long" by Otis Redding versus "Radio Free Europe" by REM. Brooklyn, please start us off so I can help out Cody here.
So this song I had discovered through the list. I thought I was a pretty big REM fan, and this one came up. I believe that this song is incredibly influential in terms of indie rock and bands that kind of went off of this sound. There's a ton of PEI, like Box of the Horse, Chucky Danger Band. But if you wanted to go more mainstream, I would say like the Strokes kind of mimic the sound in terms of this like chugging bass line with these really like light floaty guitar riffs, and then you have fucking the name of the lead singer from REM that I can't remember his name. Just the draw that he has on his, or just like the vocal quality that he has, and his voice is really good. Michael Stipe. Sorry. And then like especially when you get into the chorus of like calling out Transit, Radio Free Europe, and I just think it's like this is the perfect song to be hearing in like a dive bar or like a pub that like fits like 60, 70 people, and you're just like bobbing back and forth, and it just has that energy, and it's just like it's a perfect indie rock song.
I've Been Loving You by Too Long by Otis Redding. First of all, Otis Redding, Mr. Pitiful, my God, one of the greatest soul singers of all time. God damn. And this is one of those songs that is just, he is throwing his heart onto the floor to you and presenting it. Like, God damn, like he is showing his soul in this. The weariness and the exhaustion that he's like just emanating through his vocals. But God damn, that melody is so fucking good. I've been loving you little too long. Like, it is just emanating soul and heartache and like just ugh. Also, I'd like to point out that when we talked about this on
I knew this was coming
Off
up.
the Stones, Brooklyn Vale agreed with Kelly Meehan and myself by saying, "Wow, I'm surprised that this song got bumped off the list. This is a great song that should be on the list," and then never shows up on Brooklyn's list at all. So I'd like to call out that bullshittery. Also, Radio Free Europe by REM. It's sort of a diet version of Left of the Dial by the Replacements. It kind of takes the Replacements sound. It kind of takes the Replacement sound and doesn't add the elements that would like make REM so great later on down the line.
So what you're saying is that this song had a mandolin, an instrument that REM would later on add, that this would be better.
No, what I'm saying is that it sounds too much like them trying to replicate another band's sound instead of trying to be their own band.
Okay, I still believe that they're trying to just fit the general genre, and that there are
Fit the general genre. Okay, so that's also.
And that they're, there's so many bands in that sense that like there are going to be some commonalities. Whereas with "I've Been Loving You Too Long" by Otis Redding, what ended up having it come off of the list was that this is a great Otis Redding song, but in terms of a production standpoint, this is like your standard like 6/8 ballad. Like you can count it out, and it's the same 4 pop chords that they use. Whereas with other Otis Redding songs that we'll definitely be talking about, they stand out on their own in terms of music, whether it's something that Otis adds himself or something that they do with the music to kind of fit the style. Whereas this is just like your standard soul ballad that honestly like Etta James would do better. Like I would love to hear her do this as opposed to Otis.
I don't think Etta James would carry the heartbreaking soul that Otis Redding just naturally had.
Okay, then Sam Cooke, or like there's so many other soul singers that you could fit into this mix.
No, because it would be a completely different song behind Sam Cooke than it is with Otis Redding. No disrespect to Sam Cooke. Once again, I love Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke's one of the greatest. But he and Otis had such different style.
But my problem, but again, like my problem isn't Otis. My problem is the backing track.
You said that anyone could do this, so your problem is Otis. And also, you brought up the 4 chords issue. You just had "Baby One More Time" on your list, which is a standard 4 chord pop song.
Because mine's a bubblegum pop song. Soul songs can have more. Look at what Billy Joel ended up doing. His music is much more complex. You had an opportunity to be more complex, like your contemporaries.
Uptown Girl is a 4 chord song.
Uptown Girls is his worst song.
But
that's
still,
like,
but you're saying, oh, Billy Joel would never do this. Billy Joel has done this.
But we're not. But Uptown Girl isn't top 500 worthy. So if you're comparing that to this, then like this shouldn't be on the list.
That's not what we're doing.
We're getting.
Let's move on to Cody.
Cody, bring
I just determined a few things there. It took me how many episodes? This is episode 7.
Yeah.
It took me 7 episodes to get. When Barr says something that Brooklyn disagrees with, it's like in high school when you took a test and you did the study guide and you did everything correctly, and you look at that first question, it's like, what the fuck is this? This wasn't on the study. What is this, Spanish? Like, you have no clue. He does not understand what you're like. He just is. The amount of disrespect that goes through his head is just so much. It's just like, what?
It makes the show more
thank you,
that way.
Thank you, Brooklyn, for kind of backing off the Uptown Girl thing, because especially as the people's champion here, the American people, Billy Joel is a treasure, and yes, Uptown Girl, bad comparison, by the way, not a great Billy Joel song, but not his worst song. I promise you that. There are other songs on those albums that were, but probably his worst mainstream one.
Yes. Oh yeah.
He Didn't Start the Fire.
Yeah,
We
that's
Didn't Start the
probably-
Fire. That one's pretty close too. But overall, we're not here to talk about that. Holy shit. Otis Redding is just a fucking treasure.
Yes, he was.
And even when Barr was doing it, it's even faster than Otis does it in the song. Like Otis is like it seems like somebody is like draining him of like everything in his life, and it's such a heartbreaking song. It doesn't have as much replay value, but like hearing it is just so good. Again, I didn't mind. I've never heard Radio Free Europe before, but it is a good song. I love Otis's voice. It's so good. And honestly, I think he gets a lot of credit for basically 1 to 2 songs that people know, but like he has some great songs through and through. So.
Oh, he is a top 10 artist. Easy for me. All right.
Yep.
So with that being said, let's move on to this one's actually going to be really, really interesting. Actually, I'm excited to see how this one goes. It's number 372 and 371. Manish Boy by Muddy Waters versus The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. I'm going to go first on this one. If I had the opportunity to pick a walkout song for myself, I might choose Manish Boy. Because, Jesus Christ, Muddy Waters is fucking owning this with the amount of fucking swagger that this man is carrying. It is incredible. It is, yeah, it's kind of got that traditional like harmonica stomp guitar thing, but you really have not heard it quite like this before. And the thing that pushes it over the top of other songs kind of in this vein is just the energy in the room around him. All of the other people just going, yeah! It is absolutely chaotic, but in like the greatest way possible. Oh my God, the swagger in this, man, is incredible.
If we're talking about swagger, I mean, The Boys Are Back in Town is an incredible example. I've mentioned before that this is kind of like Kiss's cooler cousin of a band in terms of just like superior glam rock and these like these duo kind of solos where the guitars are playing the same solo, but it's either harmonized or in this case, I believe it's an octave or in some cases both. I just think like the ending, this is one of the greatest endings because it has that main riff and then they add in the second layer and they add in the third layer and it just gets more majestic and glorious as you go on throughout it. But then you get into like the meat and the potatoes of the song and just the way that it kind of builds things up and whatnot. And like the boy like has how it has the echo of The Boys Are Back in Town. And then you have the little guitar lick that comes in to kind of transition you into the next part. It's just a really cool song to kind of, again, jam out to and listen live. Whereas with Manish Boy by Muddy Waters, like when you mentioned this is your walkout song, like fuck, like your walkout's going to take like 45 seconds. Because like it's da-na-na-na-na. Like, are you sitting on like a 70-mile-an-hour changeup? Like you're back like if you're trying to swing to that, like that's pretty fucking slow. I think this song has kind of been outgrown by the genre itself. Yes, it's an okay blues, like it's a good blues song, but I just think that this style has evolved and it has these same sort of tendencies. But in a much more lively nature. To steal a phrase that you use quite a bit on the show, it overstays its welcome after about the fifth or sixth riff.
So I would like to say that this Muddy Waters is another example of someone who their presence alone is really what brings the song to the level that it's at. Sort of like the way that Otis Redding does, just in a different sense. And you talk about like how the walk up. It's not necessarily like the tempo, it's the swagger. It's like the muscles that are just like protruding from my chest as I'm walking up there, just feeling like, yeah, this utter confidence in myself. And I'm about to hit a fucking home run over the green fucking monster. That's the kind of walkout energy that this song has. Whereas the boys are back in town, Muddy Waters sounds like a goddamn man on this song. Thin Lizzy sounds like a teenager who's got his dad's biker coat on, walking around going, "Look how cool I am, guys, and look at how much badasses we are." It doesn't have the swagger necessary to pull off the lyrics that it's trying to go for.
You know what? You bring up a good point. I'm just going to end it there. Cody, what are your thoughts?
Walkout song, interesting. Bad choice. For walkout overall. The boys are back in town. Wins. I mean, I love the boys are back in town. It's just. I just heard it for you last time. I don't know what you're playing.
I know, but like, there's not even a breakdown like as to why this time. It's just like
I can give you the breakdown. I think it's a little too slow at the beginning. I like the overall feel. The Boys Are Back in Town is one of those songs that I've listened to a long time in my life, and it was like almost like every summer. Like it was, I remember that song playing all summer long. It's just like friends coming home from school. It's got a message for it. And I mean, this was the first time view and listening for this week, and it may grow on me, but it's playing against a 10-year career at this point or longer. So, sorry, buddy.
Brooklyn, I have to know how are you so confident that you got that you were just like, all right, let's go, let's like move on.
I had nothing else, so I was like, let's just move on.
Okay. All right. All right, let's do it then. Number 370 and 369. Nice. This matchup is going to be real interesting, actually. Complete opposites. Electioneering by Radiohead versus Coat of Many Colors by Dolly Parton. Since Brooklyn, you went twice in a row before, I'll go twice in a row this time. Okay. Wow, this is rock and roll. Just the utter cacophony that is created, but it's cacophonous in a way that it's still orchestrated very well, and you can keep contact with it. Thom Yorke is an artist who vocally has a very unique voice to the point where it can become a pitfall, especially with harder rock songs like this. And his voice is used so effectively in it because it is the final like piece of the engine as you're driving along to this. This is a great ass driving song, and it's just like this utter feeling of just like this dirty rock and roll that is just produced, orchestrated, played so well that it kind of creates this sonic soundscape that is just really incredible to listen to.
Yeah, so Coat of Many Colors kind of fits into the umbrella that I had mentioned last week and weeks before in the Saturday Night Hoedown mix, and that this is one we throw on every weekend, and it's just a warm and inviting song. It's always funny to look back at this song, look back at Dolly Parton in particular, and considering like how glamorous she is and how larger than life that she kind of perceives to be. But then when you go to this song and it's like you really just get to appreciate the things that you have at the time. The line that I wanted to get to is one of the last lines in the song, but they didn't understand it, and I tried to make them see that one is only poor only if they choose to be. So I just think it's like just take back to kind of appreciate what you have. I think also what this does, similar to Coal Miner's Daughter and a very highly regarded country song, in that it does an effective key change, and that it just gives it that breath of fresh air that a country song needs, especially when it's going to be 3 chords in the truth. You just slide it up one, and it sounds so much newer. Whereas with Electioneering by Radiohead, my biggest gripe with it is with Johnny Greenwood, and particularly how the guitar is mixed, because with this song you have the rhythm guitar, you have the lead, and then you have Johnny Greenwood, like his, like almost just his mix on it. And it gets distracting at a time because he's often playing just like one note, and you can hear the strum so loud that like it's taking away from Thom Yorke's singing, and that it's like it's mixed just really loud. But yeah.
So, as I alluded to before, it kind of has this cacophonous feel, which I think Johnny Greenwood's instrumentation and the way it's mixed actually kind of enhances that. Thom Yorke's vocals, while interlaced into the rest of the instrumentation incredibly well, is not supposed to be the main focus of the song. It's supposed to be the overall sound and experience of it. Whereas with Coat of Many Colors, look, I love Dolly. Once again, no disrespect to Dolly. I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to redo my joke, but no disrespect to Dolly Parton. I love her. She's an American treasure. But man, does this have Sunday school vibes? Where it's kind of that too perfect, too nice, too preachy kind of element to it, that it kind of pushes me off at a distance.
How does it? How is this preachy though? Like it's trying to teach you a lesson in that.
In the Sunday school vibe.
Just, what but a son, like, I just don't understand. I don't understand how being poor and appreciating things that you have is like, oh, I'm all of a sudden Catholic and I go to Sunday school.
That's not.
But you said that this Sunday school vibe, and Sunday school vibes are you're implying religion on it, I guess, and I just think that's a bonkers take to sort of have. Whereas with Electioneering, like if you're going the route that Thom Yorke isn't the main focus in here, that the instrumentation is, this is just bad guitar layering, even for your own list standards. Like you had The Pretender last week by Foo Fighters, and Foo Fighters do an immensely better job at mixing their guitars. So I just think if you're going that route, Radiohead's a weird choice.
Yeah, I'm just going to finish off by saying that it adds a rawness to it by sending in at that mix. It's a rawness. It's not going for a sleek vibe. It's not going for that polish. It's going for dirty. So
okay,
let's go to Cody.
I feel like I'm going to piss somebody off right now, and I don't mean to do this. I don't like Radiohead.
I didn't think you did. I think ahead of time.
I don't know if there was I thought maybe we talked about them earlier in the episodes, but I can't recall.
I don't think earlier in the episodes. I think maybe on a previous series.
Okay, I'm just not a fan of Radiohead. I just try because I know how revered they are and how much people are loved. Dolly just has a voice.
Especially with Nazario as well. Like that's one of his favorite bands.
And Boatman.
Oh, that may be it. But like Dolly is like such a great singer. Like I don't want to get pushed back. If you have something negative, I will hold it against you. But like Dolly, Reba, like those country singers that just have those powerful voices throughout is just like something that just, and this is like her such simple, but such a nice message. Hey, if she wants to teach me that on Sunday school, I'll take it any day of the week because it's a beautiful song.
Okay, let me just say this real quick. I really like this song a lot.
Yeah, you didn't seem like
it was the one thing that I had, and I was trying to go for it.
It's like like in a mobster, like, but you said what you fucking said, okay? You're disrespectful.
I'm
That's
sorry.
when you get slapped in the face.
That came out of your mouth.
It's like he holds you by the shirt collar and smacks him out, but you said it.
I know, I said it. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's not good enough.
Either way, you're getting slapped.
All right, let's move on to numbers 368 and 367. Everything's Gone by Lydia Lovelace versus Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim. Brooklyn, you were going to go first.
Okay. Yeah. So I was referring earlier that Eric B. and Rakim have a discography with a little more swagger and whatnot, and they have a little more to offer, particularly Eric B. This is where I'm talking about that. You have them at the start of the song, hyping up the beat and whatnot, and talking about the sick beat that Eric B made, and the beat is incredible to the point where bass players are still covering this at open mic, and it's still a jam and a half. People are still like bopping along to it. The flute in this is great, kind of offsetting the bass and the low notes of it. But I think the thing that makes it stand out, in particular for a list like this, is that it does effective scratching, I guess, or DJing, if you would. I just think that does a really good job of basically taking the point of a guitar solo in a rock song, and I think that's where it just offers up a difference.
So Everything's Gone by Lydia Lovelace. Lydia Lovelace is not a very well-known artist, which I think is kind of sad. She is a very talented writer, and this is probably her crowning achievement when it comes to that. So the song is about, being worn out and just exhausted by life on the road and being not a very successful musician, but still one that goes out and tours because they have to make a living. And then wanting to go home to rest, but realizing that you can't because the home that you grew up in is no longer there because the bank has taken it over, bought it and tore it down, as well as having bought the rest of the goddamn town and essentially having the town evicted. And just the pure anger and frustration that comes from her about wanting to find a rich man's house and burn it down, and how there's nothing left of her home but Amish corn. It's just lyrically, it is a powerful song. And having gotten the pleasure of having seen her perform live, it is such an emotional piece that the lyricism it's top-notch lyricism. Whereas with Paid in Full, we brought up Don't Sweat the Technique earlier. And the rhyme scheme in Don't Sweat the Technique is a lot more impressive because he's rhyming middle of sentences to ends of sentences and sentence in middle of sentences to middle of sentences and end of sentences to end of sentences, and he's kind of doing this whole he's tying knots with rhymes. Whereas it is some of the most simple rhyme schemes that Rakim has ever made. It's just rhyme at the end, rhyme at the end, rhyme at the end, rhyme at the end, rhyme at the end. And he's barely on this song. He spends a minute and a half talking and then about maybe a minute rapping, and then the rest of the song is the instrumentation. So it's not cohesively, it doesn't really come together. It feels like two separate pieces being shoved into one Reese's cup. Not Reese's cup, except because the Reese's cup is better.
Oh, sorry. Reese's Pieces as Pacey.
Reese's, yes. They are Reese's Pieces smashed together.
I would
to form a Reese's cup.
My argument to that is that this is I think you're just used to Rakim being the star of the song, whereas this is really is Eric B's time to shine for this. In terms of Everything's Gone by Lydia Lovelace, you mentioned that this is a pretty heartbreaking song or a deteriorating song, I guess, in terms of lyrics. I think that there is a better country song that is more destructive, Whiskey Lullaby, Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss, especially when it delves into alcoholism and just how that destroys the family. Also, music-wise, this is pretty meh. There are two other songs in this vein that I think that would be a good spot for this setting. In particular, "I Hope You Dance" by Leanne Womack, or the song that popped into my head. I don't know who does it, but whoever does "She's a Lucky Boy." It kind of has like musical qualities, not so much lyrically. Musical qualities, kind of a better job. Has that same kind of chord progression, but has the fiddle in it to kind of just liven it up a little.
Okay, so you try to compare this to Whiskey Lullaby. The problem with that is that they're completely separate subject matters. So the reason that the instrumentation is like the way it is on Everything's Gone is because that simplistic instrumentation forces you to listen more to the lyrics. And the lyrics are the big part of this song. They're the most important element to this song because it is just a pour out of anger and sadness and heartbreak and wistfulness and wanting to go back to her roots, but not being able to do that because the fucking bank has taken over. It is a layered, detailed, incredible piece. That it's not the same thing as Whiskey Lullaby because they're completely different subject matters.
So the last thing I guess I'll say to that is that if she's having the music so simple for you to focus on the story, similar to how we were talking about Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, there needs to be moments where she is emphasizing certain lines in the song she doesn't really do that though, and that's kind of by fault of the backing track where it's not giving her a chance to shine.
Okay. Last thing I'll say about Paid in Full is that Last thing I'll say about Paid in Full is that it is a very bare bones instrumentation as well, to be completely honest with you. So if we're going to compare bare bones simplistic instrumentation, when it comes to hip hop, the hi-hat and kick drum is some of the most simplistic, bare bones kind of production that you can have.
And because an 808 drum is still being used today,
as are guitars.
But who's playing Everything's Gone? People are still playing the bass line to Paid in Full. This is the first time I've ever heard of.
Well, I even admitted that Lydia Lovelace is not that well known of an artist, but songs like this is the reason that she should be. Let's go to Cody.
Mom and Dad are fighting. Listen. If Paid in Full's here and Don't Sweat the Technique, I think Don't Sweat the Technique should be in this spot and Paid in Full should be in the last spot, personally. I just think they should be flipped. Because I think Don't Sweat the Technique is better. I knew nothing of either really song. I didn't really listen to either one before. Crazy thing is, I like the story, the vocals overall of Everything's Gone, which I didn't expect. Because I was like, who the fuck picked this? Because just like on last episode, that Irish Irish song, I was like, this is some Brooklyn Canadian bullshit that he made me go to YouTube to find. And it's going to be freaking weird and bad. And I loved it. And I was like, this is probably a Canadian singer that Brooklyn saw once and said this is a great song. But it's Barr. So it's crazy. So, but great choice.
So which one?
Everything's Gone was higher.
Okay.
I think she should get more. I think she's good, but I will say the songs that Brooklyn brought up, bangers.
They are. Yeah, no, they're great songs. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Whiskey Lullaby was a very tough cut on my list.
That's surprising, but yeah,
it was actually a tough cut on mine as well.
Yeah,
it's hard to listen to be honest with you.
Oh yeah. All right, let's move on to 366 and 365. Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who versus Paranoid Android by Radiohead. I'm going first this time.
Equal.
Boy, once again, rock fucking anthem. Just the point where it's just, yeah! Oh my god, the moment that he lets that out, it's just such a cathartic moment. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, is such a line that has like been able to stand the test of time because it keeps happening in the world. It's like, we got this person out of power, but this person who's almost the exact same person who's come in to fill their spot. That's fucking great. Yeah, it is just like this awesome, epic rock piece. Pete Townshend's guitars are just so amazing. Yeah, Keith Moon's drumming, the bass, it just like it creates this awesome, epic piece that just has stood the test of time so goddamn well.
So yeah, Paranoid Android by Radiohead, I think, does a better job of capturing the overall sound that Radiohead tries to go for. The guitarist, Johnny Greenwood. I think he has an all-time guitar solo in the middle of this in terms of kind of playing around with major and minor keys. And in a sense, like it kind of like if you're familiar with the Simpsons theme in a sense, think of that, but like in a guitar solo where like the notes that he's playing doesn't really kind of match the overall key that they're in. I just think it captures an eeriness of it with the piano and whatnot, a much more subtle use of Johnny Greenwood's guitar as opposed to the previous song that we talked about. But I just think it does a good job of having it almost like a leopard or a panther or something, where the verse it's kind of like sitting back, pounced, ready to go, and then when you get into that rip roaring guitar solo, that's when it kind of pounces, and you get this overwhelming sense of emotion. Whereas with Won't Get Fooled Again, the Who is Keith Moon and Roger Daltrey sometimes. My biggest problem with this song, when you get to Pete Townsend and it's like, oh, what are we gonna do in the middle of the song? Well, we're gonna play the keys and we're just gonna sit on a chord here. We're just gonna wait, and we're gonna do this thing where we just play this chord and then build back up to it. Yeah, they do this better in jazz songs or if you want or a movie representation. Whiplash does an incredible job of this, where the drummer slows down and they build right back up. He's trying to do the same thing, and it's just not as effective.
I don't think that argument was as effective either, to be completely honest with you. First of all, that one key has to build tension. God damn it! It builds the tension for the explosion. It builds the tension for the explosion for Roger Daltrey to have that guttural scream. Whereas with Paranoid Android, hey, remember what I said earlier about Thom Yorke's vocals sometimes being its own pitfall? You remember, like, oh my god, his voice is not working in that part. It becomes so whiny and strained that it just is a complete dissonant tone from the rest of the instrumentation. I don't understand. I've never understood your dislike of the Who, and especially for Pete Townsend, the guitarist and the guy who wrote and created most of these songs.
Because he did better solo work, like My Love Opened the Door.
Oh my god! All right, Cody.
To your heart.
I don't think Nazario will ever listen to this, but he'll be like, Cody, what the fuck, man? You ever hear Radiohead? Stupid. Oh, what the fuck? He'll do that all the time. Won't Get Fooled Again. I'm not a fan of Radiohead. I honestly like Bar Song better, but that's my least favorite child. They're pretty close. They were tied. So yeah, but Won't Get Fooled Again. That scream just and I love I think the lyrics work really well, and I think it still plays today. Like you said, we won't get fooled. We'll get on our knees and pray. It's a great song. I'm not a big Who fan. I don't think. I don't know much Who, but I like this one. So
I love the Who,
but maybe I do. Maybe I do.
Well, they have room for a couple songs. This ain't one of them.
Okay. All right.
I like this Brooklyn. I like Brooklyn trying with a movie reference to rope me back in. Just listen, Whiplash, man. I'm like, yeah, now speaking your vibe. Movies, music.
Yeah, we have to remember that.
We're on the video store. Buy their shit.
Buy their shit. Oh, thank
yeah.
you for reminding me. Yeah, buy their shit.
I've been here for 7 episodes. I basically own the place.
All right. Moving on to number 3.
Easy there, Dana White just buying up the entire competition.
Number 364 and 363. Elephant by Jason Isbell versus Changes by David Bowie. Brooklyn is
Coming
going
soon, slap fights to the video store.
Yo. Can you imagine Nazario Montenegro going up against
Me and Coho,
Don
please, just
Marr?
one
Oh my
round.
God, please.
One round. I only need one. Just one.
But what if he?
Just one.
Does he? But does he stay there? Like he doesn't. He doesn't try to like duck or like
That
flinch.
bitch would hit the ground before I even moved my hand.
Cody would go up and he'd just go down.
He would lose his neck. Like he would he'd have no neck. He would shrink.
So, Changes by David Bowie, I think, is one of the better uses of a horn section in a song, especially when you get into like that intro. And I know Andrew's going to go with the argument of, that immediately goes 100 and it dips off. That's kind of the point where it has like the and then you hear the horns hold a note and you hear the drums like they're just kind of like building up this tension. And then it's just David and the piano, and I believe the opening lines like still don't know what I was looking for. And then you get this time where it's just David, and then you get like the opening chorus like changes, and time to face the strange changes. Yeah, I have another argument, but I want to save it for my rebuttal.
So today is the episode where I talk about lesser known country artists and depressing songs by them. Yeah, folks, this one's kind of rough. This song is about the relationship between a man and a woman who a friend of his who has cancer and is obviously dying from it. But my God, Jason Isbell is just one of the greatest lyricists working today, in my opinion. It's just some of the imagery that he creates about her sitting cross-legged on a bar stool like no one does, or the line that he has about her, just like the clumps of her hair on the ground, them lighting joints up in effigy and like singing old country songs to get her mind off of the fact that she has cancer. And then there's the one line, if I had fucked her before she got sick, I'd never hear the end of it. Jesus Christ. It is just such amazing imagery and storytelling. And then at the end, where I buried her 1,000 times, it's just such an amazingly crafted story, told in such heartbreaking detail. And by the time Jason gets to the end and he's just like screaming and wailing, goddamn. Whereas with Changes by David Bowie, it kind of just I kind of got the trick halfway through. And I kind of know how the rest of the song's going to go, and it goes exactly the way that I think it's going to go. Not to say that Changes is not a good song, but I just think that Elephant is so much better at what it's trying to do than Changes does.
Okay, so I'll do my silly argument and then my serious argument. My silly argument is that, Cody, if you vote against Changes by David Bowie, you are denouncing your love of Shrek 2, one of the greatest.
I knew it was going to come up somehow.
Plus, now, my serious argument, Elephant by Jason Isbell.
Isbell.
Isbell, sorry. My problem with these songwriter style songs, and like I enjoy them, but in this instance of them to be 500 worthy, I feel like with any songwriter in particular, you have to see them live to really get the sense of like the story that they're telling. The example that I use in this sense is that like Steve Poltz is one of my favorite songwriters ever, and that there would be a couple songs that are some that I would say are some of my favorites, but unless you don't have that story with it, it's hard for me to kind of sell it, because musically they all kind of sound the same. And that isn't just for Jason Isbell, that's for everybody kind of in this spectrum. It's more so about the story that you're telling, and I just don't think that first time listen is there enough to have it be in this kind of list.
So I very much disagree on that, because we listen to Bob Dylan still, and I've never had to see Bob Dylan in concert to understand like his storytelling or his songwriting. And that's the thing with Jason Isbell. He's such a strong, vivid songwriter that, and the way that he delivers the song, you don't have to be in the same room with him to understand the heartbreak and the pain and the internal torture that he's going through in this with this relationship and friendship. It's just so well crafted that you don't the intimacy is already captured on record. So I think that's kind of an unfair argument. You and like Pink Moon, like with Nick Drake, you would
because that had that initial grab of the first time hearing it, like the piano, and that kind of got me onto it. The Bob Dylan thing, I don't think fits, because we've had so much time to listen to Bob Dylan, and his has had a ton of radio play.
Radio play does not make a song better, though.
No, but we've had more time to listen to Bob Dylan songs, whereas like you even said yourself, like not a ton of people have heard this, and I wish that I had more time to sit on it. And like I'm sure that I will come around to it and kind of have this aha moment, like I do with honestly a lot of the songs that you sent my way. But I just think for a list like this, it needs that first listen grab of like, oh, I need to check this out again immediately.
Let's go to Cody.
So how the playlist is sent to me, I don't shuffle it really. I just play in the order and just let it keep going. I should shuffle, but I don't. So
It's already shuffled, so
that's true. But every drive, it would go with Cancer Sad, depressing song. Change it. Like it would just be like the most polar opposite next to each other. So I was just like, I'm in my feeling. I was like, it gets better. It gets better after Cancer. It's fine. Brooklyn's argument was weird. The Shrek 2 made more sense than the rest of it. Here's what I say. I'm voting for changes today. I think in a year I would vote for Elephant.
Yeah.
I think Elephant is a very powerful song. It came on a lot during the week, and I honestly skipped it a few times because it just has a weight. Like if I had a bad day or something went wrong that day, I don't know if that's the one in the chamber I want right away. You know?
Yeah.
But like his voice, the lyrics, the choices that he makes in that song is super strong. It just takes a lot to get through. And when I said David Bowie, somebody will correct me on the past episodes. He's the Wes Anderson of music for me. But Wes Anderson made Bottle Rocket, and I enjoyed Bottle Rocket. This is Bottle Rocket for me. Like I enjoyed this song. This is just fun. He's not being weird. He's telling a great jam song. Like it's fun. So,
did you really not enjoy the Grand Budapest Hotel?
No, I like that one. That one's fine.
Okay.
Not as much as everybody loves it, but I think it's fine.
Yeah. I can respect this. Cool. All right, so let's move on to the last one, 362 and 361. I Can't Go For That, No Can Do by Hall & Oates versus Something About Us by Pomplamoose.
And this is the final one?
Final one.
Yeah. Okay.
God damn. That build-up is one of the greatest build-ups to a song ever. Just the simple the boom, 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 that bass line and the kick drum. and then you start adding the synth, especially with those little flourishes of just like and then you get Daryl Hall and his voice just like crooning over this smooth as fuck soft rock instrumentation. Oh my god, it is so fucking like good. And then you get one of, in my opinion, the holy trinity of saxophone solos. That saxophone solo that comes in just wraps this thing up in the perfect bow, and it is incredible. And just the way that it plays out at towards the end, it is such an amazing piece.
So yeah, something about us by Pamplemousse is a cover of the song, also done by Daft Punk. I actually have the original version on my own list it's like the low 400s, and then this one kind of comes up. I believe that this is a impeccable cover because it is one of the few times where they take a cover and they just fine tune every little thing about the song, and they just nail it flawlessly. I think Natalie Dawn is doing an incredible job with the vocals of this, just the breathy kind of quality that she has in this. The bass line in this is fucking unreal. Nick Campbell does a really good job of just keeping it like, it has that wet kind of sound to it, but it's also spaced out enough where it doesn't feel rushed, or it doesn't want to go as like fast as like typical songs would go in that. I think the guitar work in this is super crisp and clean. It has a sharpness to it, and then just how they kind of come back all together in the chorus. There's just it's a lo-fi sort of vibe that I would give. And I think for the social media side of music, because these guys came up pretty big through YouTube. This is one in terms of quality that needs to be brought into the conversation. Andrew, I can't go for that. I know that you've championed the song for a while, and like I understand, but my gripe with it is that it's veering off from their true sound. Like, these guys are a yacht rock band, and this is really a venture for them into disco, especially with how they handle some aspects of the song. Like, you have Daryl Hall doing like this high sort of note, and then they just sort of fall down, and you have these chimes and whatnot. Also, you talked about bass solos and saxophone solos. There is another upbeat song that Hall Notes do that has better bass line and has better saxophone. So my question for you is, how is this bass and sax in this better than Maneater? Because Maneater is one of the all-time Hall Notes songs.
The thing that pushes this over Maneater is I remember the bass. And I Can't Go For That No Can Do. It's tighter, it's more effective, and it's the foundation that the song rides on. The saxophone in this is a lot smoother in this song, whereas the one in Maneater is a lot smokier. There's a tenseness in the Maneater one that is not necessary for I Can't Go For That No Can Do. I'd like to bring up the fact that you're talking about the bass line in this version of Something About Us, when literally I was just listening to the Daft Punk version, the version that they're covering, and it's a very similar bass line. So
you're right.
It's pretty much almost the same, in fact.
You're right that it's similar, but again, it's just fine-tuned enough. There's that much attention to detail. In the original, they kind of like they blend together at times, whereas this one, there is a time for each instrument to kind of shine. And I think that's done through the musicianship of the song. You mentioned
hold on. I got like 20 seconds.
Okay.
So I'd also like to bring up, having listened to a couple of other Pamplemousse songs in preparation for this, yes, Natalie Dawn is a very talented singer. She sounds like she'd rather be singing anything else on this particular song. She sounds so disassociated, so disinterested, that I'm like, why should I be interested in this song if she's not? Whereas the interplay between Hall and Oates vocals in this is so interlaced and so tightly wound together. Just that I can't go for that. No, no, no can do. Just glides seamlessly, and it sounds like they're having a great time.
If Natalie is so dissociated, disinterested with the song, then why did she add in an entire entire French spoken part? Like if you're that dissociated, you wouldn't add anything to the song. But yeah, sorry. The other thing I wanted to add, because you were talking about like Maneater has this tension. Absolutely. And like where Hall & Oates works so well is that dichotomy. We haven't used that word in a while. Because you think about like You Make My Dreams Come True. Think about how dynamic and back and forth that is. Sure, you can go on that this is smooth, but Hall & Oates is better whenever you have that back and forth.
I was just talking about the interplay between the two of them.
Yes, but you can.
Let's move on to Cody.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a 30-year-old man. I love me some Hall & Oates.
Yeah,
I'm a white 30-year-old. I love me some Hall & Oates, okay? Nothing gets the old dad by the grill, like, sway a little bit than some. These two songs, not my favorite overall.
Okay.
Didn't love them. A little repetitive. I like the vocals in yours. I just don't love the song from Brooklyn. But Hall & Oates I'll have to go with because I like it. Is this the only Hall & Oates we're going to see? Okay.
We had She's Gone earlier, but this is the last of Hall & Oates.
Oh. Fuck you both.
I think it is. I don't think there's another Hall & Oates song that we both had on our list.
You don't have Rich Girl? You don't have Making Your Dreams Come. What are we doing, guys? Oh, well, I'm tipping some vetoes. They could show up. Let's go. Okay?
Okay.
Listen to Rich Girl. It's so good.
Rich Girl is great. No, I love Rich Girl. Rich Girl is a great song.
So good.
That song kind of got ruined because there's a band here called Down with Webster that samples that song that's also called Rich Girl, and it's basically like bro rap.
Ew.
You know what? You said everything that makes sense why that song got ruined for you. I would ask them to change.
Okay, so let's go over the list for the episode today. Number 380, The Humpty Dance by Digital Underground. Number 379, Listen to the Music by the Doobie Brothers. 378, Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. 377, When Doves Cry by Prince. 376, Don't Sweat the Technique by Eric B. and Rakim. I Heard It Through the Grapevine, the Creedence Clearwater Revival version. Radio Free Europe by REM at number 374. I've Been Loving You Too Long by Otis Redding at 373. Manish Boy by Muddy Waters at 372. Then at 371, The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. Electioneering by Radiohead at 370. Coat of Many Colors by Dolly Parton at 369. Then we go to 368, Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim. Number 367, Everything's Gone by Lydia Loveless. 366, Paranoid Android by Radiohead. 365, We Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who. Number 364, Elephant by Jason Isbell. Number 363, Changes by David Bowie. Number 362, Something About Us by Pomplamoose. And then 361, I Can't Go For That, No Can Do by Hall & Oates. So,
you had a better episode this week, right? Bar, or was it still close?
You know what? I
wasn't keeping track, but week. I thought you did overall.
But... So let me do some math. So that would be
he got
5 to 35.
All right,
we are tied again. 35 to 35.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional. I just saw all those numbers come by, and I was like, Bar had a better week than. Yeah, so.
It's about time. Watch me completely blow it next week.
You will.
Is your name Brooks Koepka at the Masters this year?
Oh fuck! No. I had a fucking bet on him. Tell me,
speaking of which,
looked great for 3 days. Looked fantastic for 3 days. Melted.
Cody, I am sending you a playlist for the next episode right now. Give us your thoughts as
Oh,
you're
I see.
reading this.
There's,
I like that it gives
yeah.
me like 4 album choices, and then I'm like, oh, these are coming. Okay. um. Oh. Okay. Oh wow. I like. I'm not very far into. Oh god. It looks like I might. I might be using one of my videos next week, and just it might just piss off Coho really bad. No, I think this one's got like one arguably top 50 song for me next week.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh.
Huh.
Top 50 for me. I love, and it's an artist I absolutely just adore. So
Oh, I think there's 2 songs that I think it could be, and I'm starting to think that none of these are mine. All right.
me and Brooklyn overlap more than you would know. Like,
That's
so
so
we'll
weird
see.
to me, but okay,
It
that's a good
is.
one. But okay, with that being said, tune in next week to see this very, very interesting list, if I may say so myself. So for Cody Newberry, for Brooklyn Vale, and for myself, Andrew James Barr, thank you for watching, y'all. Keep on rocking.
Drive safely.
I'd say